Ryan Day and Corey Dennis do it again. Five-star quarterback Dylan Raiola from the class of 2024 is the latest player to commit to be a Buckeye. The timing of his commitment is significant. We'll tell you why right here on Locked On Buckeyes.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Buckeyes, part of Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. It is Wednesday, May 11th in the year 2022, and I want to thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen or first watch of every single day. Corey Dennis, Ryan Day, the dynamic duo that everybody loves in Columbus. These two men have been on the recruiting trail trying to lure in elite and top quarterback talent that's in high school, and they consistently over and over and over again get the job done. The latest individual to commit to be a Buckeye is five-star quarterback Dylan Raiola. He is from Chandler, Arizona, playing at Chandler High School. Per 247 Sports, the number one recruit in the nation in the class in 2024. This young man can spin the rock. This young man can ball. And there's already a lot of talent in the quarterback room at Ohio State, but they're adding one more elite talent in this young man when he gets to Columbus. There's two things significant about the timing of this, but there's also something else that's a little significant about this young man in him coming to Ohio State. Dylan's dad, Mr. Dominic Raiola, is a former All-American center at Nebraska, played for the Cornhuskers from 1998 to 2000, and he spent 14 years in the National Football League with the Detroit Lions. Imagine having a dad who was in the league and it's helping you along the way to be a better player and make wise decisions about the place you're going to play college football. But this commitment is maybe more significant than others. One, he's committing early. And there's a lot of people in the class of 2024 that are going to be looking to see where are they going to play football. If you're a wide receiver, if you're a running back, you're going to be looking to see, who is going to get, more so wide receiver or tight end, who's going to throw me the ball? As they're going through their early process, and many of these young men in the class of 2024 and 2023 will be going through the camp season. And camps, these young men will be going all around the country, performing in front of coaches like Ryan Day, Corey Dennis, and other coaches around the country, some seeking to get offers, some just looking to see what the school is like. Some will make official visits to these schools to see if it's the right fit for him. And for him to make this commitment before playing his junior year of football, even before his sophomore year of high school is over, this is saying, man, look, I know where I want to go. Why wait? Ryan Day is amazing. Corey Dennis is amazing. The quarterback talent at Ohio State is top notch. And they consistently groom and help guys mature and help guys be the best quarterbacks they can be. This is the best place for me. But also something else is a little bit more significant than the timing of him making it in regards to the 2024 recruiting class. If you remember, when John Garcia Jr. was with us here on this podcast, he talked about the possibility of Mr. Raiola reclassifying and joining the class of 2023. The entire show, I'm going to give you a little backstory into me preparing for that show. The entire show was centered around three quarterbacks: Dante Moore, Eli Holston, and then the other quarterback escapes my memory right now. It's not at the top of the dome, but that was the entire show. And then John says, hey, before we start recording, he mentioned Dylan Raiola and how Dylan might reclassify and how he would bring him up in this group, because we were talking about 2023 quarterbacks. But there's a guy in 2024 who might come early. Wouldn't it be wise for him to get that out the way? Not only because he knows where he wants to go, but also to get more elite talent on the offensive side of the ball to join him in this class. No, I am not saying I have any inside knowledge or I know for sure or that I've even talked to Dylan about the things that he plans to do in regards to what class he's going to join or when he's going to come to Ohio State. I don't know that firsthand. But if this could be a sign, I think the timing of it could be something like that. I firmly understand. I firmly get the reclassifying of classes. The decision to do so is very, very tricky. Very, very different. But at Ohio State, we have already seen players such as Meechie Johnson. This is all happened since I have started hosting this podcast covering Ohio State for the Locked On Podcast Network. Meechie Johnson, December of 2020, decided to reclassify. Now, this was more so injuries. Chris Holtman and his staff, basketball-wise, reached out to Meechie Johnson's family, said, hey, there's a need. Is your son willing? Are you guys willing to allow your son to reclassify and to come to Ohio State early? Ultimately, that's what happened. Let's keep going. In July, I think it was August of 2021, Quinn Ewers reclassified, came to Ohio State and has since transferred to the University of Texas. Sonny Styles earlier this year announced he's going to reclassify. He'll be coming to Ohio State in June. So this is nothing new for Ohio State. But if this young man is someone that's saying, hey, I want to reclassify, and I think it may be wise for me to do so, this commitment, the timing of it might be a little sign of things to come in regards to what class Dylan Raiola might join or might be a part of when he comes to Ohio State. I am excited for this young man to come to Ohio State for multiple reasons. He can spin the rock. He can move the ball down the field. He is really, really talented. And the fact that his dad played at Nebraska during a time when Nebraska was really, 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 really good at the football, they had a Heisman Trophy winner in Eric Crouch as well at that time while his dad was there. So his dad knows what it's like to have an elite offense. But also, man, Ryan Day has made a choice to alter the quarterback position at Ohio State. Why has he done that? We'll talk about that right here. Just stick around, guys, because that why is very significant, and it goes to why Dylan Raiola wants to come to Ohio State. For every person out there that's a part of the YouTube community, make sure you go and subscribe to the YouTube page. We will be very, 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 very close. We are very close to hitting the 1,000 subscription mark. And I've already told you there's some special things coming once we hit that mark. Make sure you go to the Locked On Buckeyes YouTube page, hit that subscribe button. There is a portion of it that is selected for only subscribers to be a part of. Different polls that'll go out, different posts that'll go out. The only people that are subscribers to the Locked On Buckeyes YouTube page will be able to see. So go there, subscribe. We're really close to hitting that goal of 1,000 subscriptions, the first of many goals that I believe we will hit right here on this podcast. And it's all because of you. And I want to thank you. I mean, this podcast is amazing. Your feedback is warranted. I love your feedback is needed. Your feedback is needed. And I absolutely love being able to host a podcast and represent the Buckeyes for the Locked On Podcast Network. Ryan Day made a decision a long time ago. The weird things are going to change at Ohio State. How would they change? Well, it's all about the quarterback position. Ryan Day, a quarterback guy, an offensive mind. Ryan Day knows that he has seen the trend in college football, and I think it's a smart trend. We're seeing it even in the National Football League. Guys that aren't going to be utilizing their legs to move the ball down the field as often as they used to, and putting a bigger emphasis on the use of your arm to get the ball down the field. Ryan Day is a person that when he became the quarterback's coach, when he came to Ohio State, he knew that there was a trend, there was a system that worked under Urban Meyer. But what we saw in 2018 was a great sign of things to come at Ohio State, and we all knew something was going to change when Ryan Day became the head coach once Urban Meyer retired. 2018, Dwayne Haskins. Did you ever think an Ohio State quarterback would throw for 4,800 passing yards and 50 touchdowns in the same season? In that season, Ohio State wins the Rose Bowl. Would you ever think that's going to happen at Ohio State? I mean, think about the quarterbacks that have been great at Ohio State. Troy Smith, Terrell Pryor, JT Barrett. Cardell Jones had a phenomenal, maybe the best three-game run or a three-game stretch of games that we've ever seen. But what else have you seen? A lot of emphasis, Braxton Miller, a lot of emphasis on the legs. Were you ever tired of seeing a 3rd and 3 quarterback power? Because I was. I mean, goodness gracious, you got a good running back behind you. You got receivers that can get open really quickly to move the ball down the field, short yardage game. But no, quarterback power on 3rd and 3, that was a call for Urban Meyer. But Ryan Day said, man, that's not going to sustain. That's not sustainable. The human body is not meant for that. We got to change things. And Ryan Day made one big move, put a bigger emphasis on the arm of the quarterback at Ohio State. And I believe he did that because when you think about who wins national championships, when you think about who wins Super Bowls, what kind of quarterback do you have? Is it a run-first quarterback or is it a pass-first quarterback? Think about it. I'm not even going to go through the list because my mind is not going to be able to go year by year by year about who won national championships. Stetson Bennett, not the best quarterback in the world, but he has an arm. He's a throw-first kind of guy. Mac Jones, throw-first kind of guy. Joe Burrow, throw-first kind of guy. You have Tua Tagovailoa, Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson. What are these guys? Now, Deshaun's mobile, but if he needs to move the ball down the field with his arm, Deshaun Watson can do it. Justin Fields, what did you see? CJ Stroud. More of an emphasis, a bigger emphasis on the arm because winning 10 games, 11 games in the regular season, that's great. You can do that with a mobile quarterback that needs his legs to be successful. But that's not what we're just here for. They have regular season success. We're here to win Big Ten championships, make playoff bursts, and win national championships, win playoff games, and win the Natty. That's what we are here for. And what kind of quarterback gives you the biggest opportunity and the best chance to do so? A quarterback that throws. He is a throw-first kind of guy, puts an emphasis on the arm. Think about the kind of quarterbacks that Ohio State currently has on their team and those that have been here previously. There's a little graphic I'm going to pull up here. Can't show it on my phone, but I'm just going to talk these things right through here with you to kind of talk about how we're not just talking about one or two players that have been the transition under Ryan Day, but also those that are to come, that are coming down the road. A lot of these guys are already at Ohio State. Justin Fields, mentioned him. CJ Stroud, mentioned him. Kyle McCord, emphasis on his arm. Quinn Ewers, mobile, but Quinn does put a big emphasis on his arm. And he can sling the rock too. Devin Brown, emphasis on his arm. Dylan Raiola, emphasis on the arm. These are the kind of quarterbacks that you need to be successful at Ohio State to win national championships. What kind of quarterbacks won the past two quarterbacks that won national championships and the one that went to the Natty? Craig Krenzel, well, he can move a little bit. I mean, I'm going to be dodging that little conversation. But Craig Krenzel, who else did you have? Almost said JT Barrett. Cardell Jones, arm guy. Justin Fields got us there, then was a mollywopping by the Crimson Tide, but a throw-first kind of guy. There were other things wrong with that team in 2020, which is why, first, Alabama was a better team, but there were other things there that were why, big decisions, why that game was not closer than I thought it was going to be. Pass-first kind of quarterbacks are the quarterbacks you need to win national championships, plural. We're not just here to be one and done. We're not just here to win one in 2002 or not win another one until 2014 or that season. We're not here for that. No. We are climbing the ladder to do this thing consistently. And after Stroud is gone, who is next up? Devin Brown? Kyle McCord? Do you trust them? Absolutely. After them, who is next up? Dylan Raiola, do you trust him? Well, from what I've seen, I mean, he's still only in high school still, but from what I've seen, I think there's a progression of him for that when he's at the collegiate level, he will flourish. Pass first quarterbacks, putting an emphasis on moving the ball down the field with the quarterback's arm, those are the kind of quarterbacks you need, not just to win national championships, but to have a big impact in the National Football League as you're shifting, making a huge change in the mindset of people when they look at Ohio State quarterbacks going to the next level. Putting an emphasis on that arm will cement that Ohio State quarterbacks, yeah, they were one thing at one point. But ultimately, right now, things are a lot different than they used to be. I love what Ryan Day has done. Quickly. You know how hard it is to make changes when you're following up a legend? Let's take this a little bit more personal, more home for you. You know how hard it is to make changes in your own life quickly? I mean, my goodness, y'all know we don't do a lot. Oh, excuse me. A lot of us, I know I don't. A lot of us don't do things quickly. I know when I am trying to make even the simplest decisions as to what kind of hat to buy. The hat I'm currently wearing, those of you watching on the YouTube, I bought this before the spring game at Buckeye Corner. Had no idea what Buckeye Corner. I'm not from Columbus. I've been to Columbus numerous times. My friend actually ended up telling me, "Hey, go to the Buckeye Corner. It's right there by the shoe. You'll be able to drive there, get a hat, then go to the spring game." That's exactly what happened. But prior to me doing that, I ended up looking at numerous hats. That's just what we do. I had a plan, but it took me a while, probably too long, longer than some, to do that. Last time I bought some shoes, I went looking around. I didn't look on the internet. I wanted to look around, and I looked at too many stores to buy a pair of shoes. Sometimes it takes us time to make changes. Then when you add in you're the coach at Ohio State, you're following a Hall of Famer in Urban Meyer, a coach that has won national championships at a couple stops along the way, that has cemented himself as a phenomenal, great, elite coach, and you want to change what he did, what made him successful, and you're making that change instantly, buddy, it's hard. But Ryan Day has done it. It's amazing to watch. Can he keep it up? I mean, that's the ultimate question I've been asking myself for quite a long time. Can Ryan Day keep it up? Well, we'll tell you what it will take to keep it up right here. Stick around. I think you'll enjoy what you hear. One of the best things I like about Ryan Day is he has a plan. His plan works. Sometimes his plan takes a little bit longer to go through, but his plan works. And what will it take for Ryan Day and Corey Dennis? I don't know how long Ryan Day could keep Corey Dennis along there in Columbus, because this young man, if he keeps doing this on the recruiting trail and with developing quarterbacks, buddy, let me tell you, there's going to be somebody out there that's going to want to promote him to offensive coordinator, or maybe co-offensive coordinator, which I don't even like that term. Side note, I don't know. These co-offensive coordinators, I think that's one of the oddest and craziest thing you can have. Have one guy coordinate the offense, maybe with some assistance from the head coach, but ultimately there's one offensive coordinator, one defensive coordinator. That co-defensive coordinator or the co-OC, buddy, that's a recipe for disaster. I think many of you remember when Ohio State had co-OCs, buddy, things were not going really well. I don't know how long Corey Dennis is going to be around at Ohio State, but I hope he doesn't get that co-OC title when he leaves. Just give him the reins. Let him call the shots on offense. I think you'll like what happens. But what does it take to keep this up? Well, there's a few factors that go into this, and I think some of them may be simple to some of them a little bit harder. Number one, well, not really number one, just not in any particular order, just as they come to my head and they're written down. You have to stay above and ahead of the trends. If a new trend comes up, you got to be able to quickly, instantaneously adjust to what's going on so that you know what the youngster is thinking about while making a decision. A couple things he needs to be ahead of. He's doing a phenomenal job of it. Well, kind of. We'll talk about one of those later in the week. The transfer portal and NIL. Now, the luxury is at Ohio that you have a phenomenal fan base. You have former players that love the university, and numerous resources that numerous universities don't have, you can tap into and use so that you can make sure that when it comes to NIL, your players have great opportunities, amazing opportunities that not many people have. You have to make sure you do that. I think Ryan Day has done a phenomenal job with NIL, and there's a lot of things we don't know about players with NIL, not just with football, but also with basketball. But specifically football, I do think Ryan Day, if we were able to get a lot of the data out there where that players are doing with the NIL money and the NIL opportunities, you'll realize, man, these dudes are making some good money. And this isn't just good money for a college student. They're making good money for an adult because they have the opportunity to capitalize on their name, image, and likeness. You have to stay ahead of the trends in the transfer portal because the last thing you want is a quarterback to come in and then he's realizing this isn't for me. 1 year, 2 years in, it isn't for me. But then you're banking on him being there for 4 years instead of having the realization he might leave, which is why I do believe Ryan Day consistently and continually brings in amazing talent because you never know when somebody is going to hop into the portal and leave. Think about what happened between the end of the Michigan game and now. How much? Probably at least 10 players have hopped into the portal between that time. It's a crazy time we live in. Didn't think we would see this, but that's how things are. And Ryan Day has to realize, man, a kid may hop into the portal. He's got to be ahead of the game. Make sure there's somebody else in the recruiting class with him or after him that could take his place in the depth chart. We could develop that young man as the other person, the player that hopped into the portal, goes and plays elsewhere. You have to stay ahead of the time. But the ability to adjust is something that I do think we can't just gloss over. We can't just say adjusting is easy. I talked about how I went to way too many stores to buy some shoes, and I knew exactly the style of the shoe. I had a few shoes in mind, but I get tired of looking at shoes on the internet. Just gonna be honest with you. Now, if it's a car, cool, I'll do that. If there's other things, great, I'll do that. But I just get tired, y'all. Tired of looking at stuff on the internet. I am a young man, but I still like going and looking at things face to with my own eyeballs, feeling it, touching it, all that stuff. That's what I don't even buy many things on Amazon. Why? Because I like to see stuff. If it's cologne, now I do buy some cologne on the Amazon. I don't know how I got on this, but I do buy some cologne on the Amazon. However, I don't buy fresh cologne that I've never smelled on the Amazon. I always go to a store. If I buy something, of course, I'm going to give you numerous options before you narrow down your options and your choices to select 1, 2, or 3 or more, however much money you want to spend. And I always smell it first, always. But there are certain things, internet shopping and buying, just it's not for me. It's not for me. And I have to adjusting. I don't like to adjust. I don't as a person. Different things changing in our life. I don't like to adjust, but Ryan Day has no option to adjust. He has no option. If Ryan Day doesn't adjust, you know who's going to get the upper hand? That guy named Harbaugh there in Ann Arbor will get the upper hand in the conference. James Franklin will get the upper hand in the conference. Wisconsin, as crazy as that sounds, they could have the upper hand in the conference. Notre Dame, Marcus Freeman could go over Ohio State in the national landscape if Ryan Day does not consistently adjust. As the game changes, as the rules change, as things evolve, Ryan Day has to make sure he is ahead of the game, because if he is not, he might not only not get the recruit that he wants, but he might not have the team that he wants at the Ohio State University. Thank you for checking in and tuning in to this episode of Locked on Buckeyes. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at jstevens07. You can send all of your emails to jstevenspod@gmail.com or jstevens317@gmail.com. Either one will get your email right to my inbox. Thank you for making Locked on Buckeyes your first to listen every day. Now make sure to check out the Locked on Big Ten podcast to make that your second listen of the day or watch. That is Nate Dickinson does a phenomenal job of covering and keeping up with what's going on in the Big Ten Conference. Yours truly will be a part of the Monday show with Nate Dickinson. The other days, another host that covers a team for the Locked On Podcast Network that's in the Big Ten Conference joins Nate to add flair, add their own personal flavor to the Locked On Big Ten Podcast. The Locked On Big Ten Podcast, just like Locked On Buckeyes, they are both free and available wherever you get your fine podcasts. Guys, it's Wednesday. It's hump day. Enjoy it. We'll be back tomorrow. John Garcia Jr. will be back with us with a recruiting update. We'll learn more about the Buckeye commit, Austin Serveld, and a couple other offensive linemen that may join Ohio State's 2023 recruiting class.